In this video, you're gonna learn my top 3 sales prospecting mistakes you must avoid at all costs. And you wanna make sure you watch this video until the end, because if you are making just one of these mistakes, it's gonna be incredibly difficult for you to generate any meetings and close deals. What's going on, everybody? Patrick Deng here. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, the first mistake that you gotta avoid is not to be paralyzed by fear. I remember one of the first internships I had during university, my job was to cold call people and basically send them free stuff. It was a kind of a weird situation, right? It's like I worked for a marketing company and my job was to give stuff away for free. And I would call these schools and these churches and stuff like that, and I would be like, hey, are you interested in, merchandise for this movie that's coming up, right? And I would promote things like Batman or those kind of movies, right? And these are A-list movies too. Basically, they gave me a list of people that I can reach out to. And I remember in those beginning days, I was so afraid to call people. It wasn't even a sales call. It was me calling people saying, hey, do you want free stuff? And in the beginning, I was just so paralyzed. I didn't know what to say. I would review my script, go over to the next cubicle, ask my friend like, hey man, what do you think of this and that? What would you say? And I was making it a lot more complicated than it really was. But in fact, once I really just got started and started doing it, it became very easy. You make some mistakes in the beginning, people give you some feedback, and then you just get better and better from there. And now when it comes to selling, I did experience that once I got into actually real selling, where I'm selling products and services and not just giving stuff away for free. I did still have some of that fear where, you're worried, right? I was worried that if people were gonna reject me, people were gonna say no, people were gonna say something mean to me. And so a lot of times you just paralyzed, you don't know what to do. Well, you know what to do. You just need to make those calls and send those emails and things like that, but you just feel like something is stopping you. And so a lot of times we procrastinate, we do all these things that are unrelated to actually selling, and we're just wasting our time. And I know when I was at Oracle, when we would do blitz calls or we have these events where we just do a lot of sales prospecting, I heard a lot of people say a lot of excuses, I definitely, try not to be one of them, but I definitely heard things like, oh, my product isn't good, my territory sucks, I don't like my manager, nobody's buying anyways, so what's the point, right? And it's kind of interesting when people give these kind of excuses. I'm not someone that, would want to give these excuses either, but people do, we get caught in it, we slip up. And when you tell these things to yourself, all these negative things for why somebody wouldn't want to talk to you, well, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and people don't want to talk to you because they can hear it in your voice, they can hear it in your email. You don't have enough passion and enthusiasm to inspire someone to actually take a meeting with you, right? So if you always have that negative mentality of, oh, nobody's buying, they don't have the budget, so I'm wasting my time, well, that's gonna be your reality, and it's gonna be very difficult for you to succeed in sales, because to succeed in sales, you have to understand that most people are not qualified to buy. Most people don't have the budget to buy. Most people are not interested, but it's those small percentage of people that actually are, that make the difference and make, sales, right? You're gonna get, 90 no's before you get 10 yeses. So that's just the process. So instead of being paralyzed by fear, understand that yes, rejection comes with sales. Yes, people will say no. Yes, people will be mean to you. Yes, you're gonna mess up on your cold call, and you're gonna fumble on your words, and people are gonna hang up on you. That is going to be normal. However, once you accept that and you know that you're not gonna be perfect and you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, then it's a lot more easier, right? Because you already accepted, I'm gonna make this phone call, it's gonna suck, it's okay, this is the first one of the day, the second one's gonna be better. Let's go ahead and just get started. And that's really the process of building momentum. Understanding that people are gonna reject you, but building momentum one step at a time to put in the work in just 1 call, 2 calls, 3 calls, 4 calls, or if you're doing cold emails, 1 email, 2 email, 3 email, you just basically whatever form of outreach that you use, you gotta build that momentum to build that confidence in yourself. And once you build more confidence, you're gonna realize actually it doesn't even matter if people reject you, because you just move on to the next person, because there are thousands of people you can reach out to. So why get hung over about what someone said? Maybe they had a bad day and they're mean to you. Whatever. When you have that momentum, nothing can stop you. Now, the next sales prospecting pitfall I see so many people make is that they waste time, okay? And when it comes to sales, a salesperson's most valuable asset is their time, right? They're getting paid to sell. And I see a lot of people, they spend so much time and energy trying to make things perfect, or they feel like they're not ready. And they, again, they try to make it perfect. But I always realize that, and over time I realized that people who want things to be perfect are actually just afraid to put something out. They're afraid to reach out to a person. They're afraid to make that phone call. They want their script to be perfect. But you gotta understand, no matter how much you practice your script outside of actual sales, you don't know if it's gonna work until you talk to a real prospect. You actually try to sell them something and they say no or they say yes, right? And that's totally okay, because most people are gonna tell you no anyways. So instead of trying to always make things perfect and over preparing and paralyzing yourself and not actually doing the work, why not get your script to a good enough level that's acceptable, use it, get feedback, and with that feedback, use it to perfect your script, right? Because perfectionism, there's no such thing as perfect, because things can always get better. So the idea of perfectionism, to me, the real idea is not to be paralyzed by fear. It's actually to be in the process of perfecting something. And the only way to be in the process of perfecting something is to actually do the work. So look, if your job is to make cold calls, send cold emails, generate meetings, understand this: your job is not to get coffee. It's not to hang out with your friends. It's not to hang out in the kitchen and have conversations. It's not to have unnecessary meetings. It's to generate meetings with ideal customers. So if that is your job, you need to block out time on your calendar to do that job and ignore everything else. It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, freelancer, you're a sales rep working at a company, it does not matter. Block out your time. Make sure everybody understands that this is your time to sell. This is your time to generate meetings. Ignore everybody else and actually just do the work. And I find that time blocking is one of the most important things to do. So if you say something like, okay, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all I'm gonna do is sales prospecting all day, every day, whether that's building a list, cold calling people, cold emailing, I don't care what it is. The only activities I can do from 8 to 12 is sales prospecting. You wanna have a meeting with me? Do it after lunch from 1 to 2 p.m. Anything besides that, don't even talk to me, right? I'm only gonna do sales prospecting, and that's your job, right? And people aren't gonna hate you for it, because if you really focus your energy on doing your job and you're actually, not paralyzed by fear, you're actually doing the work, your numbers are gonna reflect that. If your numbers reflect that, nobody has anything bad to say about you because you're a superstar, right? And so that's the privilege that you earn if you focus your time doing the right things in a timely manner and getting results. And I'll also add one more tip to that. And I know that sales and prospecting, there's a lot of administrative work, updating CRM and all this stuff. Make sure you do all that prep work and all that administrative work outside of your prospecting time, right? So your prospecting time should only be for actually prospecting activities. All the administrative stuff that comes with it, save it for later, do it later. Whether it's the weekend, late night hours, after your sales prospecting time, it doesn't matter when, as long as it doesn't interfere with your main block of prospecting time. Now, the third pitfall that I have for you that most people are gonna make is that they avoid pain. Now, this is very natural for human nature, right? If we experience any type of pain in our life, in anything, whether it's our career or relationships, finances, it feels like we want to run away, right? And I totally get it. That's human nature. Like you put your hand on a hot stove, it burns your hand, you want to put your hand away because it hurts, right? That's just how we are wired. Now, when it comes to actually professional sales, we have to override the way we think, right? We're still gonna feel the pain, you're still going to feel the fear of rejection, but you have to understand that pain is your friend. Pain is the thing that teaches you what is actually the right thing to do, right? For example, when people are doing cold calls, they're afraid that people are going to reject them. They're afraid that people are going to say mean things to them. So that's very painful. The idea of thinking about it and worrying about the future, that's a pain in itself. And when you actually do it and people say those mean things, which they will, that also hurts your feelings, right? Now, if you let your brain take over, and if you let the pain tell you like, look, Patrick, this hurts too much, you should probably quit sales, then your career is done. It's over because you let an emotion take control over your life. What you want to do instead as a professional seller is you want to do the thing, find the courage, even if you feel pain. Because pain is the signal. Pain is the thing that allows you to understand what's difficult. And the more challenging things usually are, the more rewards that there are, right? So if you're, going back to cold calling, if you know that you're gonna call this person, they're gonna say something mean, it's gonna hurt, okay. But if you accept that, you accept the pain, and you know that the only people successful in sales are the people that can deal with this emotion and push through, that's your answer. That's the thing that other people are not willing to do. And by doing it, you stand out from the rest of the crowd and you get results that are very different from every other person, because everybody else will be too afraid to do their job. They'll be too afraid to make those cold calls. They'll be too afraid of rejection to put themselves out there. But if you find the courage and acceptance of that pain to actually do your job, well, you're in a totally different place because you're doing the thing that nobody wants to do. And by doing that, now you're separating yourself from your peers, you're separating yourself from your competitors because you're doing something difficult that people are afraid to do. And once you get through this process, you go on this journey of sales and you learn how to accept the pain and push through, here's what's generally gonna happen. Number one is you realize that the pain wasn't even that bad to begin with. It's not gonna end your life. It's not gonna change your life. It's not gonna ruin your life just because somebody said no over the phone. It doesn't actually matter. So once you go through that, you're like, oh, why was I even afraid? That is not even a big deal at all, right? So that's the first thing you learn. Number two is that you grow as a person. You feel better about it. You know that, oh, I understand that I felt the pain, but now it's nothing to me. So you just grow and develop and you mature as a professional seller. And that's always a good feeling to always be growing, right? And number three, you're gonna set a new standard for yourself, right? Because once you go through this threshold of different pain levels and you do all these different things and you experience, people yelling at you on the phone and all this crazy stuff, right? You start developing a thicker skin. And so over time, what used to be extremely hard becomes relatively easy. And that's because you are setting a new standard for yourself. And so as you go into sales and you do it for a couple years and you kind of look back, if you're working at a company and you look back on junior salespeople, you see there's a big difference between someone who just started sales and someone who has a couple years of experience. And a lot of time, it's not even like their technical skills of selling. Sometimes it's really just their ability to control their emotions, accept fear, mature and grow from the pains that they experience as a seller, and just do their job consistently, right? It's not always about who's technically the best seller. Sometimes it's just about who's showing up, who's trying their best, and who's doing the work. Because if you do those things and you learn the skills of actually selling, then you're gonna be an unstoppable monster. But I feel before the technical skill set of selling comes into play, you gotta adopt the right mentality and be willing to fail, be willing to learn, be willing to accept pain, find the courage to push through that pain and do your job consistently without the thought of just giving up because it's too hard. And so those are gonna be the 3 pitfalls people fall into all the time. So hopefully by watching this video, you know how to avoid them. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and if you want a free training on how to sell anything to anyone and start and accelerate your sales career, I got a free training link in the description, so make sure to check that out. With that said, my name is Patrick Dang, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.